Evidence does not lie, Part 2. The statements made by Bandler, Commissioner Bogan and Renfro during the January 15th meeting completely unravelled, not only under scrutiny, but also through their own contradictions. They claimed that the old appraiser was to blame for the flip-flop for the overcharge and undercharge of 4 buildings. Renfro would front the money on condition Commissioner Bogan sued the appraiser. Bogan would sue the appraiser because he wanted to make everyone whole. Bandler stated that the flip-flop was for 3 years. 2024 was correct. CFO Arnold was credited for being the one who caught the flip-flop. It was Winmore entirely, said Renfro. Their rehearsed script fell apart when Renfro was asked by a resident if going after the appraisal company would affect Winmore using them in the future. Renfro responded,
"We're already using a different appraisal company." That's how we found it.
Wait a minute. Renfro had just praised Keith for finding the error, and now Bandler said it was the new appraiser who found it, which also contradicted Bogan, who said it was a clear mistake made by the present company. Was Bogan saying then that there wasn't a new appraiser if the mistake was made by the current company, who Bandler and Renfro claimed was the old appraiser? What on earth was going on? Why were they contradicting each other? It sounded less like a credible explanation and more like a scene from the Three Stooges. To correct Bandler's faux pas, Renfro interjected.
By switching the appraisal, I think this helped assist Keith and his team in locating this error.
Oh, the new appraiser assisted Keith to locate the error. So why did he say minutes before that Keith found it entirely? And Bandler said it was the new appraiser who found it. Is this what happens when people can't get their story straight? They trip over each other's tongues? Renfro was asked why they switched appraisal companies. His tell is when he spirals into a nonsensical word salad. While rambling and deflecting, he disclosed that the appraiser provides the appraisals to the insurance company.
We switched the appraisal company because of a mistake that was made, or
No, sir.
prior to that? For what reason?
Prior to that,
Yeah.
because what I said earlier, because of the volatile market that we're in, what I wanted, insurance companies in today's world, not only do they want to increase your rates, they want that nationwide insurance properties are underinsured by the tune of 25%. So insurance companies are arbitrarily looking at valuations. So if we have an appraiser that is known by your insurance company, that they do a lot of business with, they have more confidence in his appraisal. So it added credibility to our appraisal.
Why mention the need to add credibility to their appraisals? Who questioned that the appraisals were not credible? It's like a bank robber denying he robbed the bank without anyone mentioning there was a robbery. If a new appraiser was hired in 2024, where was his appraisal report that insurance companies would have a lot more confidence in than the old appraiser's report? And only requested the appraisal reports from 2022 to 2025. CFO Arnold did not provide the reports, but he did provide this document with the instruction, need to allocate based on 7/31/2022 appraisal. Did this mean that the new appraiser did not do an appraisal in 2024? Who better to set the record straight than Tim Renfro himself? On October 22nd, 2025, Renfro attended a budget meeting without the residents being informed he would be there. Was it done deliberately, knowing only a handful of people attended, and those in attendance would never ask a difficult question like, what's up with the inflated appraisals and premiums? Or how did your lawsuit go that Bogan filed for you to get your money back?
Every 36 months, you have to have a new appraisal. So this is the season, this is the year we have to do a new appraisal.
Thank you for confirming that there was no appraisal done in 2024, since appraisals are done every 3 years. If the last appraisal was done in 2022, who provided the insurance company with the appraisals for 23, 24 and 25? Renfro? Arnold? Both of them? If Renfro was the source, then the so-called clerical error, the flip-flop they kept referring to, could only have happened if Renfro and or Arnold changed and flip-flopped the appraised values themselves on the worksheet used to calculate premiums. Nothing else made sense. If that's true, then the flip-flop wasn't the appraisers doing it all, it was theirs. Is it possible they used appraised values that differed from those stated on the policy? Could they really be that brazen? Here's what AI had to say about appraisals provided to an insurance company by the agent and not the appraiser. There is a risk of abuse. A dishonest agent can submit inflated values, driving premiums higher and pocketing commissions or fees. Without a certified appraisal report or audit, the insurance company may never know the value is correct. Many insurance companies accept updated insured values provided by agents or brokers without independent verification. If these values are inflated or unsupported by a certified appraisal report, premiums can be artificially increased, creating a significant risk of overcharging. Did Renfro provide values without independent verification? Is this how the flip-flop occurred and it had nothing to do with the appraiser? Each time the appraiser was mentioned, another version was given as to who found the error.
So actually, the new company that came in were the ones that found out the error.
You couldn't make this up. The more they mentioned the appraiser, the more they flip-flopped over who caught the error. In their eagerness to prove their honesty, their explanations completely backfired. Their stumbling, contradictory statements resembled a comedy of errors. They simply couldn't keep their story straight. First, Keith supposedly found the error. Then it was the new appraiser. Then the new appraiser helped Keith, and then it was back to the new appraiser. Meanwhile, Commissioner Bogan insisted it was a clear mistake by the present appraiser. But how could it have been the present appraiser if Bandler and Renfrew claimed there was a new appraiser? And then they get offended when we don't believe a word they say. Renfro continued.
I will say this, working on your insurance renewal, I've got preliminary numbers in. I hope to have it all finalized. We start with Keith probably in July or August working on the budget.
Why would an insurance agent work with the CFO on the budget? Did he and Keith decide together what the appraisals and premiums should be and then work backwards? Is this how the flip-flop happened? The unthinkable theory that Renfro and Arnold altered the appraised values when calculating the premiums turned out to be correct. When CFO Arnold released documents in response to the records request for the appraisal reports, he unknowingly provided a striking piece of evidence that confirmed it. This is the worksheet he provided, showing that the appraisal values on their worksheet are higher than the appraisals on the insurance policy. The 2025 appraisal for Portofino Isle 1 and 2 on the policy is 63,776,987 million. On another document CFO Arnold provided called Summary of Values, he has an amount of 65,131,285 million. That's a 1.354298 million difference. But on his worksheet, CFO Arnold has a different appraisal of 63,854,082 million and 99 cents. Why are there three different appraisal values, and why are they not using the appraisals on the policy? If this wasn't shocking enough, his worksheet also revealed that the premium they charge exceeds the amount of the premium on the policy. The policy has 469,314,000, but the amount he charged on his worksheet was $610,400. That's a difference of $141,086. These overcharges are found with all the associations. Could this be the reason they do not want you to see the financials of other associations, so you would never know how much each of you are being charged? Here are a few other examples showing the overcharge for 23, 24 and 25. In 2023, Bimini's premium was 363,607. They were charged 515,673, a difference of 151,673. In 24, Bimini's premium was 513,942. They were charged 702,118, a difference of 188,118. In 25, Bimini's premium was 465,267. They were charged 607,836, an overcharge of 142,569. The total overcharge for all 3 years was 482,360. Where is this money? In 23, Abaco's premium was 262,078. They were charged 379,308, a difference of 117,230. In 2024, Abaco's premium was 376,202. They were charged 509,988, an overcharge of 133,786. The total overcharge for 2 years was 251,016. Where is this money? In 2023, Grenada's premium was 307,872. They were charged 435,780, a difference of 127,908. In 24, Grenada's premium was 433,864. They were charged 592,704, a difference of 158,840. The total overcharge for these 2 years was 286,748. Where is this money? The total Martinique 2 was overcharged for 2025 was 126,768. So much for Bandler's claim that the error was for 2021 to 2023 and that the amount was 41,500. Another detail that didn't make sense. If the error was from 2021, how was the appraiser to blame if he only did his report in 2022? CFO Arnold confirmed in a note on his September 25 P&L that these overcharges are unrelated to any other policies, as he had already allocated all remaining policies to the council. To illustrate these overcharges more clearly, in 2025, for example, Renfro claimed the insurance cost was 9,190,895. However, you paid 8,376,972 for property insurance. When you add the loan amount of 195,958 and the remaining policies totaling 2,605,290, the combined amount comes to 11,178,220. Given that the insurance policy was reported as 9,190,895, how do you explain the 1,987,325 overcharge? In addition to this, you were still charged $15.76 per unit for insurance, totaling $994,771.20. When added to the overcharge of 1,987,325, the amount is 3,055,886.20. These overcharges were evident for other years. While you're still trying to digest this, the appraisals they allocate for each building on their worksheet are not only higher than on the insurance policies, but they end in pennies. Appraisals never end in pennies. In an email, CFO Arnold confirmed that premiums are calculated as a percentage of the appraised value. Yet in practice, that's not what he does. The premiums charged are significantly higher than what the appraised values would justify. CFO Arnold also unwittingly revealed a critical piece of evidence in his email. Please remember that I explained I was making other information available to you so you would understand that the amounts contracted for insurance and the financing tie out to the penny and are appropriately allocated by that appraisal per the management agreement signed by each association. I also explained that we had not received the 2025 appraisal, and as soon as it is available, it will be ready for inspection. Not only did he confirm that the last appraisal was in 2022, he wrote, "The amounts contracted for insurance and the financing tie out to the penny and are appropriately allocated by that appraisal." Tie out to the penny. AI had this to say: "The only legitimate appraisal on record is from 2022, but the premiums are being calculated using internally created appraised values that don't match the ones listed on the actual insurance policy. These figures are highly questionable. Many are written out to the exact cent, something no professional appraiser ever does. By replacing the certified 2022 appraisal with their own made-up numbers, the parties involved have inflated the insured values and overcharged the associations, directly violating the insurance agreement. This conduct may amount to insurance fraud or intentional misrepresentation under Florida Statute 817234. Winmore's attempt to prove its trustworthiness backfired. The so-called flip-flop involving the $41,500 overcharge revealed that the method we used to calculate overcharges was identical to theirs. Premiums are calculated as a percentage of the appraised value. CFO Arnold, Renfro, and Bandler never considered the possibility that all of you would share your financials and discover how much you are overcharged for insurance. Evidence does not lie. Why would Bandler, Commissioner Bogan, and Renfro make such bold claims in the January 15th meeting when the evidence clearly proves otherwise? How much are you really being overcharged? What else will the evidence reveal? What other shocking details lie hidden in the recordings and documents? Stay tuned for part 3.